I'm 34 and until recently, I was engaged to a 31-year-old woman named Ava. We had been together for nearly 4 years. We met at a wedding, she was the bride's cousin, I was one of the groomsmen, and clicked right away. We shared a dry sense of humor, had similar goals, and both wanted a family someday. I work as a structural engineer, she's in pharmaceutical sales. From the start, it felt like we were on the same page. Growing up, my parents were the kind of couple that made love seem sturdy and long-lasting. They'd been married for 42 years. One of the things that left a mark on me was how my dad would leave little notes in my mom's lunchbox every day. Sometimes silly jokes, sometimes sweet memories, or a simple, "I love you." My mom saved them all in a small box. When my dad had a stroke 5 years ago and couldn't speak for months, my mom would read those notes back to him, one by one. His doctors believed those familiar emotional cues helped reconnect his mind and memory. Watching that unfold deeply shaped how I view love and connection. I'm not naturally expressive, I think in straight lines and clean numbers. But because I knew it mattered, I made an effort. When Ava and I became serious, I started writing her little notes. A few words before I left for work, often just a quick reflection on our relationship, a silly memory, or a sketch that wasn't particularly good but always sincere. She seemed to genuinely appreciate them. She'd text me during the day saying how it brightened her morning. She even bought a small decorative box to save them in, just like my mom had done. That meant a lot. Last spring we got engaged. We picked a date in October and everything felt like it was lining up. But about 3 months ago something shifted. Ava started acting distant. Little things set her off and she became increasingly irritable. When I asked if something was wrong, she brushed it off, said she was just overwhelmed with work. I took her at her word. I picked up more chores, suggested we take short weekend trips, and kept leaving the notes, though I made them more encouraging than romantic, thinking maybe wedding planning was weighing on her. 2 weeks ago, I had an early site visit and left the house in a rush. Halfway there, I realized I'd forgotten my tablet with the building plans and had to double back. When I got home, I noticed her car was still in the driveway, which was unusual. She should have already left. I walked inside and found her in the kitchen, still in pajamas, on a video call with her 3 closest friends. Her back was to me, so she didn't see me right away. Just as I was about to announce myself, I heard my name. Ava was holding one of my notes, the one I had left that morning, and laughing. "And James left another one of his pathetic little love letters," she said. Then she read it aloud in a mocking tone. "Counting down the days until you're my wife. You make even ordinary Tuesdays extraordinary." Her friends burst out laughing. One of them said, "Read the one from yesterday again, that one was worse." Ava opened a drawer, not the decorative box, but one stuffed with random papers, and pulled out another note. "Sometimes I watch you sleeping and think about how lucky I am." She barely got through reading it before the laughter started again. Another friend chimed in, "Is this seriously the beta clown you're going to marry?" I stood frozen, listening to them tear apart something that, to me, came from a place of care and love. Then I heard Ava say, I know, but he's stable, has a good job, and my parents love him. I just need him to stop with this emotional crap. I've been throwing some of the notes away or pretending I'm too busy to read them, but he keeps writing them." One of the women asked why she didn't just tell me they were cringe. Ava laughed and said she was planning to, after the wedding. "Once we're married, I can train him out of this," she joked. Marriage changes people. Then they started talking about the cringe folder, a group chat where they had apparently been sharing my notes. Ava was taking pictures of them and sending them in real time. That's when I made a noise. Maybe I dropped the tablet or gasped. I don't even know. Ava turned around, her expression dropping the second she saw me. The video call ended abruptly as her friends exited one by one. She immediately tried to smooth it over. "It's not what it looks like," she said. "We were just joking." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The truth was loud enough on its own. A few days later, I printed out every note I had written and mailed them all to her parents. No message, just the letters. Her father called me, sobbing. He told me he had always hoped his daughter would find someone who loved her like this. Now Ava's left over 50 messages. I haven't replied to any. It's strange, I've always been a man of written words. But now I find myself searching for the right ones and coming up empty. Maybe I've said all I needed to already. I heard everything. Ava said her friends were trying to train me out of these habits. "Beat a clown," they said. Not my words, just how her friends talked. She laughed and called my notes pathetic and garbage. When I confronted her, she changed her tone, moving from defensive to annoyed. "Well, they kind of are, James. It's suffocating. Every single day. Who has the energy for that level of affection? It's just not realistic. The word, performative, hit like a slap. For years, I said quietly. And you think I've been performing this whole time? Oh, come on. Nobody's genuinely like this, she shot back. You're trying too hard. Maybe it's because of your parents or something. It's sweet, I guess, but it's not normal. I didn't argue. Just walked past her into our bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed. She followed me, trying to backpedal. Look, it's not a big deal. I love you. I just don't need all that to prove it. Can we just move on? I looked up at her and felt nothing. No anger. No heartbreak. Just emptiness. Did you ever like the notes? I asked. Any of them? Or was it all a lie? She hesitated just a moment too long. Of course I don't. Just don't. I stood up, grabbed my tablet and walked out. Made it through a site visit somehow, checked into a hotel that night and told her I needed space. The next few days were a blur. Ava bounced between teary apologies and claiming I was overreacting to some harmless girl talk. Her friends sent awkward apology texts, obviously at her urging. I didn't reply to any of them. What I did do was think. About everything. The relationship. Her parents, who I thought genuinely cared for me. The decorative box she'd gotten to hold my notes. The same notes she now said were garbage. On the fourth day I took action. Went to her apartment while she was at work, packed what I needed. Then I spent an hour combing through my email, where I'd kept every note I'd ever written to her. All 317 of them. I printed them all. Engineering brain, I guess. I never trusted just paper. Then I wrote a letter. Addressed to her parents. I explained everything, what she said, how she acted. Attached screenshots of her texts swinging between guilt and blame. No spin. No added drama. Just facts. I included all the notes, my letter, and a USB with a screen recording to prove it all came from my email archive. I overnight the package to her parents 2 states away. And then I blocked Ava on everything. That weekend, while she was at her sister's, I packed up the rest of my things. Left the tea we used to share and the engagement ring on the kitchen counter. The decorative box too, empty. I didn't know if she'd thrown out the notes or never kept them. Either way, it didn't matter anymore. I moved in with my buddy Mike for a while. 3 days later, I got a call from an unknown number. It was her dad, Robert. His voice cracked. James, we got your package. He was quiet for a moment, then said, I don't know what to say. Those letters. I read every single one. So did Patricia. We raised her better than this. I don't understand. I'd always liked Robert. Retired military, grounded, not overly emotional but decent through and through. Hearing him so broken, that hurt more than Ava's betrayal. Neither do I, sir, I said. He went on. Patricia hasn't stopped crying. Those letters reminded us of when we were young. I used to write notes to her too. Not as good as yours, but still. He trailed off. We're sorry, James. We thought of you as family. We talked for nearly an hour. He told me they'd confronted Ava, showed her everything. She tried brushing it off at first, but when they made her read some of the letters aloud, she broke down. She tried calling me right after, but I was already gone. I thanked him for being honest. Told him I'd always respect him and Patricia, but there was no going back. That was 2 weeks ago. I've since signed a lease for a new apartment. Smaller but closer to work. I officially canceled my part of the wedding. Most people got a vague explanation, fundamental incompatibility. My close circle knows the truth. Ava found my new number somehow. 53 messages in the past week, according to the block list. I didn't read any of them. Just previews, some begging, others accusing me of ruining her relationship with her parents. I heard through friends that Robert and Patricia pulled out of the wedding completely and told her she needs therapy. Her friends are distancing themselves. No one wants to be tied to the cringe folder. She's saying I manipulated evidence. Telling some I was controlling, others I was distant. Whichever version wins her sympathy. I haven't responded to any of it. There's no satisfaction in her downfall, just a deep, steady sadness over what I thought we had. And relief. Relief that I saw it all clearly before saying I do. My mom asked if I regret writing all those notes. I don't. They were real even if she wasn't. My dad told me to try journaling, same outlet, no risk of ridicule. Maybe someday. For now, I'm throwing myself into work, spending time with friends who've stood by me, and learning to believe that being genuine isn't a weakness. The box she once bought for those notes was still on the counter. Empty. I left it there. Some things aren't worth trying to fill. A week later, things have settled. I'm adjusting to the new place. Bought new furniture, clean start, nothing from before. Feels right. The messages stopped 3 days ago. The last one said, "I know you'll never forgive me, but I'm getting help. I'll always regret what I lost." Robert called again. We didn't talk about her this time. Just sports and a bridge project I'm on. Before we ended the call, he said something that stayed with me. "A man's character is measured by how he acts when he thinks no one's watching. Your notes, you didn't know I'd ever read them. But they showed me exactly who you are. Don't forget that." I haven't started dating again. Not ready. But last weekend I did something new. Went to a poetry reading with Elise, a colleague. Just friends. But being there, reconnecting with that part of me, it felt good. I started writing again, not love notes, just reflections. My therapist says it's me reclaiming my voice. It helps. Some vendors were kind. One caterer even refunded everything. His ex had pulled something similar and he sent a bottle of whiskey with a note. Her loss. Healing doesn't follow a straight path. Some days I feel the sting. Other days I'm just numb. But more than anything I feel lucky. Lucky that I found the truth before I locked myself into something fake. Lucky for friends who showed up. And, in a strange way, lucky for those 317 letters. They weren't wasted. They showed her parents who she really was. And reminded me who I really am.